to share the slides after the show or during the day, whenever we'll see how it happens, because you'll see I built the slides sort of practical parts. And
hold on, I think they can hear us.
no worries.
All right, let's start. Welcome, everyone. We are using a new platform here to try and sort out some of the audio issues that we had last time. Let me just see what is going on. All right, we're live, so that's good. Apparently my mic is low. My mic is low. Let me see if I can quickly sort that out. Let's see here. Audio.
Good morning, bonjour, buenos dias.
All right, so we should probably maybe be okay. What caused it? I don't know. I've been messing around with the production side of things. So let me just have a look, because people are asking what happened. Apparently we just had a pop. I saw it in copper as well. China wants U.S. talks to address concern on Taiwan and sanction. China is open to talks if Trump shows respect and names point person. All right, so that's what caused it. Let's not panic. But yeah, it looks like they might be kind of starting to...
Oh yeah, huge pop.
Yeah, huge pop. That's what it was.
200 points. Wow.
Welcome, everyone. So obviously we're going to be doing the Neuroscience Wednesdays. Yes, we have some stuff happening in the markets, but before we get involved, we need to sort our brains out. And this is why Jerome is here today. Let me add your slides here, Jerome.
Wonderful.
Here we go. All right, if you guys are here for the first time, my name is Deeyana Angelo, better known as Marcus Stoker D. This is Jerome, Dr. Jerome. He is one of our top traders at Topstep, and he's going to be taking us through some very interesting side of neuroplasticity and trading. Jerome, what do you have for us today? Welcome.
Good morning, Dee. Good morning, everybody. And thank you again for having us today and allowing us to have this session. So we're going to start something... Today is a sort of test, but if we all like it and if it pleases you guys, we're going to go forward on that. So we call it neurophenomenology and neuroplasticity of trading, which means neurophenomenology is basically how things happen in our brains. So neurophenomenology of trading means what is happening in our brains when we trade. So just as a disclaimer, I didn't have a lot of time to prepare these. So please bear with me and with us. These slides are not exhaustive, meaning the content I am sharing today doesn't mean I know everything, doesn't mean there's everything on the slides. These are my sort of feedback as a doctor, a mental doctor, neurodoctor, and also as a trader. Trading, you always hear me saying trading is for me an experiential journey. And I can be completely aware. I try to be as much as aware as possible about this journey and try to master as much as possible my brain skills so I can improve my trading one. So what we're going to try to do over time with you guys is that we're going to share this as a mental training to rewire your brain, break reactivity, and upgrade execution. So these are going to be a sort of toolkit, okay, of mental and emotional rewiring exercises. I'm not going to teach you technical things on trading. I'm not going to teach you trading. I'm going to teach you how to better use your mind to trade your edge, to trade your style.
So let's talk about that for a second. Most people are obsessed with levels, strategy, this, that, but really what I've seen in the VIP as well and in my own private coaching is that people mainly struggle with the mental side of things. Give the same strategy to 100 different people with exactly the same rules and you're going to get 100 different results. So basically you're saying that this is going to be making us more aware about our decision making and understanding what exactly goes on up here before we malfunction.
Exactly, right? Completely agreed. Just want to say, somebody mentioned volume difference between each of you is too great, D too low by comparison of Jerome. If Jerome could lower his mic a bit and D could max hers out. Can you do this on your end, D?
I'm not sure that I have that control, but in the settings, if you click on settings,
Mic
there is
volume. Okay,
the
I
yeah
reduced it.
mic.
Okay. Is it
Yeah, you
better
can
now?
also
Does it sound better now?
set automatically adjust mic volume.
Oh, I did it. Okay.
Okay, so
Is it
hopefully
cool
that's
now?
gonna.
Is
I don't
it
know.
better, ladies
Let's
and
see.
gentlemen?
Let's see.
Thank you for pointing
So
that out.
yeah,
So
thank
yeah,
you
exactly.
guys.
And you're gonna see. So for the people who are first timers here, I advise you to watch some replays we did previously, because the previous sessions we did were wonderful in terms of no difference yet. Okay, in terms of knowledge. So there's knowledge we shared and expressed that is some sort of uh, uh, necessary to understand everything we're going to speak about today, but it doesn't mean you will not understand everything we're going to speak about today. So they're saying I'm still louder, so let me just try
Right.
this like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
I've
I
just
put it at
increased my volume as well.
40 and reduced mine. So
Yeah.
if it's
So
okay, please let us.
I've unchecked the automatically adjust mic volume, and I've boosted it up on my end. So hopefully now I don't have. So
Okay,
apparently I'm still low, right?
Daniel, we understand there's a difference. Thank you. Is it better now? We try
Yeah.
to change the settings. Better now,
Better now. Better
but
now.
no
No
crackle.
crackle.
Wonderful. We
Yay!
figured this
No
out.
crackle.
Wonderful. Getting there.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for your understanding. So
All right. Awesome.
today, as you might have read it, we're going to share practices that support pre-trade, in-trade, and post-trade regulation. And you are not your reactivity. You are what we trade. About the same now. Okay, guys. Can't do anything. We're going to go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
So in trading, you have two brains. Yes, Barrett. Thank you. Thank you for your understanding. You have two brains in trading. We already shared that. So there's a little mistake with the transcription. So one that wants to make money and one that makes you lose it. Two different things. One that wants make money and the other makes you lose it. It doesn't want to make you lose it. It makes you lose it. So the goal is to quiet the second one so you can hear the first. And a pattern I have, we use in therapy as well, is build, break, rewire, repeat. And basically, ladies and gentlemen, what I wanted to share today, what we wanted to share today, is basically applicable to anything in life. So of course, today we rewired it for trading, but you can basically take almost 95% of every practical tool and knowledge I'm going to share with you today, and we're going to be able to implement it in every aspect of our lives. So let's put some neuroscience context, okay? So in trading, let's say you need 5 traits. You need many more, but I focus on these 5, which are clarity, patience, resilience, calm, and identity. Okay, and so I put a column brain system, so you can identify which zone in the brain is referring to. So for clarity, it's about the PFC, and the default state is it's often bypassed under stress. Okay, and what trading requires is you need to be prime daily your clarity. Okay,
So prefrontal cortex is basically where your rational decisions are coming from. And as
your
soon
cognitive
as,
decision,
yeah,
cognitive,
yeah,
and
cognitive
therefore rational.
decisions. Yeah. And when you're under stress or fear or uncertainty, it shuts down effectively. It relinquishes control. Is that right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
And it needs to be practiced daily. Otherwise, it's like a muscle.
exactly,
It goes out of use if you don't use it, right? It
exactly. It's like
atrophies.
on and off
Yeah.
every day, and you gotta practice that. You're learning very fast. I
Interesting.
mean, you
Yeah.
learn a lot, you know a lot, but we learn. Uh, for patients, it's the DMN, the default mode network. We talked about it last week. It
Yeah.
gets hijacked by dopamine. Okay, so trading requires structure and visualization. Then you did resilience. Resilience in the brain is within the ACC, the anterior cingulate cortex, and it's overloaded by shame and failure loops. And trading requires journaling and reframing. For
So hold on. So
Yeah,
ACC. So when you, let's say you blow up an XFA, what does that actually do to your brain? Does it just shut down? Is it like but basically a separate piece of our brain that is in charge of that? Is that right? I'm just trying to
Not a
understand.
separate, but
Not separate,
when
okay.
you have shame or failure, for example, when you feel that, experience that, you overload your ACC, and then you are unable, your brain is unable to have the normal state of working. It's like shut down, like the
Oh,
emotional
okay.
limbic system shut downing the PFC. And
Interesting. Does that
journal
affect learning at all?
completely,
Like this?
completely,
Hmm.
completely. This slide is one of the most important, uh, because for me, because every tool I'm going to share with you is going to be connected with that. I think things are happening in the market. People are speaking. uh yeah, today is Neuro Wednesday, sorry.
It's New Wednesday.
good,
Sorry. Yeah, this
good
is
luck
more
if you're
important,
trading, but
guys. So let me just put this out there. If we have events where things just start flying, someone in my VIP group actually said something quite interesting, that when the markets, actually, I think Hogue uses that saying too, when the markets get fast, I need to get slow. And, this whole lecture is to help you prepare better for the volatility that we still have. We still have headline risks all over the place. Yes, we had a hangover day yesterday across the board, but generally, it's, we're still in that high volatility environment. So we want to prepare you for not losing the plot when things start flying around. So let's just focus on this lecture, and it will serve you much better in the coming days to tackle any sort of volatility that we might experience. So I just wanted to put that out there, so don't panic. Listen, markets are going to be here forever, right? They're going to be here long after either of us are gone. They've been here before we existed. So let's just focus on this very important moment where Jerome is trying to teach us how to control ourselves. He is one of our top traders. He knows what he's talking about, and he's a doctor. So let's just focus, okay?
thank you, guys. If you don't want to listen, don't be here. I mean, it's okay. I took time to present this for people who are interested, so respect
Yeah,
the craft as well.
yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
So for calm, it's the ANS, okay? It's it's the parasympathetic and sympathetic system we talked about, and it defaults to fight or flight under threat, right? And with breath work, we can reset. And identity is the self-image we have on ourselves. It's about cortical midline structures. It's tied to past experiences, and it needs future self-rehearsal. So you're gonna have a lot of practical tool today about this. So these are the three emotional states basically any trader goes through during a day, during his journey, right? It's either tilt, which is overwhelmed, rage, revenge mode, uh, hesitation, doubt, freeze, or over analysis, or calm presence. So I try to put somatic signals, body clues, to make you understand what state you are in. You trade your state, not logic, and you will understand that. And D, you mentioned that previously. So if you
Yeah.
find yourself have your jaw clenching, buzzing ears, heat rising to head, shaky hands, shallow erratic breath, or fast heartbeat, you might be in tilt. Okay, you might think, I have to get it back, screw it, F it, I'm going in, or I can't end the day red, I don't agree. Then what I suggest you is an immediate pause. You break, you stop, you stand up, you drink cold water, you do a breath reset, which is a 3-round breath. You inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 6 seconds. And you can tell yourself a self-coaching phrase: you are safe, you are learning. And trust me or not, if you've been following us, you know this already, but what you are telling you shapes your mind, and how you shape your mind, uh, it like leads to your trading, whether it's good
So
or bad.
instead of going, I'm an idiot, I'm a muppet, I don't know anything, you go, I am safe, I'm learning. What a difference. I'm going to say, I've never heard anybody talk about the after effects of doing something that has a negative outcome and then basically soothing yourself, right? I used to do exercise. I used to go and lift heavy weights. That was my way of dealing with it. I do have to say, in the last sort of, I don't know, probably about 7, 8 years, I haven't had the need to do that, probably because I'm not scared of the loss. And even if there is a loss, I know that it just doesn't matter in the long run. So, I suppose that comes with experience and years of training. But while you're still learning and you're unsure of the setup, and that's usually where it comes from, uncertainty and lack of confidence. So the best thing to say to yourself is not, oh, I'm a total muppet. I'm safe. I'm learning. That's a great way to put it. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to hesitation now. Doubt, freeze, overanalysis. If you find yourself having a fast heartbeat, cold hands, frozen breath, shoulders drawing, tiny pupil movement, inner tension with no action, that means you might be in hesitation mode state. So you might think, what if it's the wrong entry? Or I'm going to miss it? Or I don't deserve to win again. Some people feel that, think that. If you think this, you are in hesitation. So my suggested tools are future self question. What would the consistent me do now? We talked about this last week, future self. You can do a micro move. You write your entry on paper. Trust me, it's changing. You can breathe to connect to decision space. Putting back your attention to breathing opens back the decision space in the brain. Okay, so this is for hesitation. And now let's go to calm presence. Calm presence is when you have a slow breathing, expanded peripheral vision, not like focus narrow, straight spine, deep body awareness, and feeling of spaciousness. You are in what we could call the flow, the zone. Oh, I've seen this setup before. Let the edge play out, or losses are part of the game. When you think this, you know you are in this state. This ladder I am sharing to you is a sort of guide to make you understand, identify what state you are in. And this is your in-session awareness mirror. That's mine, at least. And suggested tools to get there is mental rehearsal before session, and we're going to go through it today, and presence anchoring. This is the version of me I trade for. This is a sentence I tell myself every single day. This is the version of me I trade for. And all of this trains interoception, metacognition, and adaptive responses. And this leads to like mental patterns being able to change upon states. So this, you'll come back to it. You can put it as a post-it in front of you, and then during the day, oh, I have my hands cold. Perhaps I'm hesitating. Oh, am I thinking I'm going to miss it? Okay, so
there's basically a constant stream of introspection that has to be happening, especially when you feel yourself going off your A game, for example. So it's like you've done well in the first part of the session, and then you start, the next trade doesn't work. And you start to get worried. You start to experience maybe fear. You start to have sweaty palms, or your heartbeat gets a little bit faster. So at that point, you need to be aware of that. And I don't think that many people are. When they're trading, they just click buttons and they just totally surrender to whatever problematic state that they kind of get thrown in without actually regulating themselves. So if we are aware of exactly what's going on, it's almost kind of like an alcoholic alcoholic saying that they have a problem, right? I kind of think this is very similar. It's like an addict going, hello, my name is this, I'm an addict, right? And it's the first step to recovery almost. So as traders, we have to be very, very aware of our mental states. And I think that back in the day when we had the pits and everybody was going crazy and, it was all like fight or flight, get in there or die effectively. I think it's very different now. Because it's just us with our screens and nobody else there. And I think this is where the introspective side of things really has to be in the center stage of whatever you're doing, if I'm understanding everything correctly.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a great technical trader, mastering your mind will make you an even better trader.
Yeah.
I
found that many people are actually pretty competent traders, but it's the mental side that destroys them completely. Or oversizing, which is also maybe the desire to get there faster. We've seen it yesterday on one of the segments. I can't remember the gentleman's name. I think it was Ben. I believe it was Ben. So he was saying that, he was doing really well. He was like way past the payout stage. And then he woke up one day, chose that he's going to like chase the quota on the leaderboards and blew up everything. It's like, why do things like that happen? It's like what happened that day that he didn't do the previous days? Was it chasing an arbitrary goal or something else? Like, was it
PIM,
maybe overconfidence?
PIM,
PIM,
perception,
intention.
intention,
Yeah,
manner of acting.
yeah,
Perception, I need to be on the leaderboard. Intention,
yeah,
I need to get above Dakota. Manner of acting, I overtrade.
yeah.
It's
I oversized over trade, yeah, and then blow up. And then what happens to the goal? Well, it seems more distant than ever, right? Because now you've destroyed everything you worked for, and that causes us to go into self doubt. He also talked about, oh, now I'm punishing myself with one account. And I'm like, is that really what you should be doing? Like, I don't know. I wasn't that sure that punishment is the right way to do things. So let me ask you. You're the expert. So would you do something like the negative reinforcement? Is that a good thing to implement as a part of your trading, or should you just recognize the mistake and then maybe have another way to deal with it without punishing yourself?
what is negative reinforcement, or what would be an
Well,
example of
for
that?
example, he's now back on a combine and he told himself to only buy one account. And, he told himself, this is what you deserve. You have to be on one account as a punishment. And until you prove to yourself that you can manage this one. But then to me, that's like a bit of a vague goal. It's like, well, what constitutes doing well? Getting another XFA? Maybe not chasing, not doing the same mistake again in that new XFA. So I don't know. There's different ways of negative reinforcement. I use on my students. I call it the Bart Simpsoning. So let's say you have something that is really harming you. First and foremost, it will be the size for most people. So you basically have 7 days of writing down, like Bart Simpson at the beginning of the episode, right? It's like, I will not trade more than X amount of NQ contracts, or I will only trade 3 micros. I will only trade 3 micros. And in my experience, this was actually enough to rewire their brains to stop oversizing and to kind of set this idea of a maximum default size into their brain and not go over it. Because it's like after about 3 days, your brain goes, okay, I will not go. It's almost like positive brainwashing. I wouldn't call it negative reinforcement. I would call it positive brainwashing. But when you're actively going into something and going, oh, this is my punishment, I was never really in favor of punishments in that regard. I don't think they do that well. What are your thoughts on that?
There's so many things within this example, but yes, I definitely don't advise positive brainwashing or negative reinforcement,
Okay.
however we call
Okay.
it. And
Yeah.
I would rather advise many other things that we will go through today. But yeah, thank you for this again. I'm a bit sad because there's some arrows I put, but uploading the slides removed them for some reason.
Oh, right.
So sorry about that. The little white boxes you see is not a white box I put there for no reason. So uh, what is a habit loop? Some of you might know it. A habit loop is, let's say, or could be a 4-step going from cue, craving, response, and reward. Cue, craving, response, and reward. I'm going to share this with you today so you can understand why we do what we do in life and in trading, even when we don't want to. Okay, why do we do something even when we don't want to? Every impulsive action in trading comes from a loop. If you can name the loop, you can break the loop. So the cue is the trigger. Okay, what it looks like in trading: red day, red trade, red day, FOMO, drawdown, missed setup, boredom, inner dialogue. I can't believe I missed that, or I need to fix this. You can break it with nervous system check-in, body awareness, jaw, breath, heartbeat, hands, and you can label it. This is it. You'll see the labeling thing later. The result you wire in is awareness before action. Next step, craving, emotional need. In trading, you could have the urge to click, revenge, make back losses, or win back status. You want to win back the status of saying, I'm a winner, right? I'm a profitable trader. You can think, if I act, I'll feel better, or I just need one win. These are
Famous
the
last
folks.
words. Yeah.
Exactly. I just need one win, but
Just one more trade. One win.
and this you can break it with breathing, breath, and mental suggestion, 90-second pause, and self-talk shift. Like this is a wave, not a reason. This is a sentence I love as well. And this reduces your emotional pool. And then you have the response, the habitual action, the action led by the habits you have in. So you can overtrade, you can hesitate, you can abandon your plan, or you can increase size. You could think, I know this isn't the plan, but this looks nice. I mean, what does look nice? I mean, you are saying this is not the plan, but you are finding reasons to, you know what I mean? So you
Yeah,
can
there was
break it.
a. I don't know whether you guys were here when Jerome was on with Mo. Mo
Yeah.
does join here in chat quite frequently. I need to get him on here one day. But yeah, he was like, if I do just one more trade, then I'm gonna stop. But I don't know whether he actually meant it at that point. But he's like, oh, if I do one trade and it wins, then I have two more. But to me, that's like it was quite funny because Jerome, you pulled him up on it. It's like you did one trade. It's like that's so now you're breaking your plan. He's like, no. And the chat absolutely loved it, but I like that you were like, well, Mo, you said this, like, what is going on here? Okay, do you want me to tell you what you want to hear, or do you want me to to make you stick up for your plan? And it was a quite a good segment, but that's what we're talking about. It's like I'm not saying that Mo always does that, but I'm just saying that was a perfect example of kind of modifying your plan on the fly. And then it's like, well, I said one more trade, but because this one won, now I have two more shots. So it's like you just keep going. Where is the end to that? You have to stop at some point. And I think this is where people get themselves into trouble, where they're up like, I don't know, 3-4 grand on the day, and they just keep going, and then eventually they lose 30%, then 40%, then 50%, then suddenly 70%, then they have nothing on the day, they're back to scratch, and then they start going into negative because now they want to be back where they were earlier in the day. It's a whole emotional roller coaster. So it's like, what made you not stop in the beginning? Why wasn't that enough? And I think that's
The
one of the
brain.
questions that we need to ask ourselves. Like, what are you chasing here? What, you want to be rich yesterday? That's great. It's a good goal to have, but don't do it all in one day. Because, how does the saying go? Easy comes, easy goes, right? It really applies to trading. The quicker you make the big amount of cash, the quicker you're going to lose it. And we've seen this over and over. I've seen it for so many times over the 13 years that I've been in prop firms. You get these like big swingers. We see them once, and they're there for the week, and then next week they're out because they blew up. And it was amazing. They were like making 100 grand. I had one guy that made $500,000 on a single options trade, and then proceeded to lose all the rest of them, and we never saw him again. So it's like, there's no amount of
And
money
then
you
we come
can't
to
lose in
reward.
trading.
Indeed, we
Yeah.
come to reward, short-term payoff, dopamine
Yeah.
hit from acting, or regret loop if outcome bad. And then you think,
Yeah.
at least I did something. Some people, they don't trade, and they want to trade to feel this dopamine, and then they say, at least I did something, or I blew it
Yeah, like
again.
Dolby, like when Dolby says, put a trade on just to feel something.
Then that's the perfect
To feel
example.
alive. Yeah.
And so you can apply this cue craving response reward. This is used in therapy as well, in addiction compulsive therapy. So let's go through some tools now. I'm going to do a bit of chaining. It's a couple tools like that you'll see. So purpose, mental rehearsal, train the nervous system to experience discipline, presence, and process before real exposure. It activates motor cortex, PFC, and motor neurons. Practice, this is the visualization we did last week or the week before. So I'm going to see if we could make a sort of practices section, and I'm going to record them again so we could send them to people. But basically, visualize following your plan during a winning trade, a losing trade, or no trade at all. Your brain treats imagination like rehearsal. Show it what good trading feels like. Then you have future self-conditioning. The purpose is to anchor long-term identity and reduce impulsive behavior. So basically what I built is sort of cards, and with the tables I presented you earlier, when you need something, you go back to the card and you have like the practice on it. I tried to make it convenient to use. So the purpose is to anchor long-term identity and reduce impulsive behavior, and it activates the DMN default mode network and identity circuitry. And you could ask yourself, what would my future self, the one who is already consistent, do right now? And this anchor identity to long-term thinking. Repeat before high-pressure trades or post-loss. This is the prescription the doctor gives you. Then journaling for realignment. This is the emotional journaling. Purpose, reframe emotional loops and create new meaning from mistakes. It activates your hippocampus and the PFC, which will reframe your emotional memory. And you would be able to reframe, your emotional loops. So you could ask these 5 questions I like. What happened? Let yourself express. What emotions came up? What was I believing? What would I say to a friend who felt this? And what new belief do I want to wire in? There's no right or wrong answers to this. But if you do this, you can trust me, you will improve way more than you can imagine.
So can we put 2 parts of our journals? So you can have like a diary section where you will answer these questions, and you can have the technical part where you explain to yourself exactly what setup worked, how did it play out, how far it went, and all the technical stuff that goes along with it. Would you advise doing that every day? Like, how often do we need to do this?
I mean, I would advise definitely to do it every day.
Okay.
But you will see, in the end, I'm going to advise people to pick at least one practice from here and practice it diligently, consistently every day for 14 to 21 days. So if you want to improve a lot, then you're going to practice it daily, and you're going to take as much as possible to practice daily. But if you can't take everything in, and you need time, well, one step at a time. But yeah, I definitely advise practicing daily, which not practicing daily doesn't mean you're not going to improve, right? But
Yeah.
the more you practice, the more you're going to improve.
Yeah.
Compassionate self-talk shift. Purpose, break shame, which will increase re-regulation speed and rewire faster recovery. This activates the ACC, anterior cingulate cortex, and the parasympathetic system. Reframe your inner voice. Again, there's a missing part with the blank space. Instead of telling yourself, I always mess this up, tell yourself, this is the part I'm still learning. Instead of telling yourself, let's say you keep losing, you keep losing, you keep losing. You put a long, you get stopped. You put a short, you get stopped. You're like, I can't figure out where the market is going. Then instead of telling yourself, I can't get this right, tell yourself, I'm wiring in a better response every time I show up. This is extremely difficult to do. This could sound almost meaningless for a lot of you, perhaps. And I respect and I have no problem with that. But trust me, if you follow this, like, your mind is a temple, and you can trust me. I've spent more than 10 years studying it, and if God wants, I will spend the next 60 years to keep studying it, because it's marvelous, right? So I'm giving you keys we discovered in neuroscience, and keys that at least helped me shape my profitable journey. And again, what would you say to a friend? That's the real
And
question you should ask
and
yourself.
just to say, all the way to number 49, right?
Yeah, exactly. I was top 5 for some time, but
Yeah.
yeah, now I'm
Top 5.
top.
That's fine. It goes up and down, nobody kind of stays, apart from Dakota, nobody kind of
Exactly.
stays at the top. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Let's go.
Thank you. Breath plus mental suggestion. So when you see me putting breath plus mental suggestion in the tables, that's what I refer to. So purpose, downregulate emotional brain, and anchor present awareness. This activates your limbic system and resets autonomic state. Use breath to control nervous system. Will this presentation be posted somewhere? You will all have it available for download. You inhale 4 seconds, you exhale 6 seconds times 6 rounds. This is the prescription of the doctor, okay? And you tell yourself, I am calm, I am clear, I execute with focus. Again, this could sound meaningless to you. This could sound completely idiot. And I respect, and okay, it's great for you if you think that. But trust me, if you apply this, it will change the wiring of your brain. This is
But
proven. I mean,
isn't it always the case whenever you're trying something new. It sounds like complete nonsense, right? You're like, yeah, what? Breathing is going to help me. But then you try it. Be open minded, you try it, and you notice the relief. And there's a physiological response that happens with inhaling for 4 and then exhaling a bit longer. And like you said, it's proven, right? So people can argue whether this is stupid or not. Just try it. You've got nothing to lose. Just try it, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Uh, Cognitive dissonance visualization. This is the one we did last week, precisely. Create internal friction to break limiting beliefs. Activate ACC plus DMN. Imagine a goal achieved while holding a disbelief, meaning you can't achieve this goal. Rate the goal before and after exercise. So refer to the practice of last week. This conflict, the conflict creates plasticity in the brain. What's beautiful is conflict creates an open window for plasticity. This is an in-session tool every day, many times. This is to detect and disrupt trading from a hijacked state. So it activates your somatic awareness and self-regulation. So just ask yourself, just ask this simple sentence. Am I in fight, flight, freeze, or flow? Simple. Put it on a post-it. I don't have post-it, but I used to like write it on a paper and watch it every day and until it became a habit. Ask yourself, right now, am I in fight, flight, freeze, or flow? If not in flow, pause, breathe, and reset. Remember, decision follows state, not logic. Always, okay? Detached from thoughts and feelings. You are not your thought. If you've been with us for the previous Neuro Wednesday sessions, you know now that you are the one who hears the thought. You are the one who perceives the information. You are not the information. You are the perception of the information. So label your emotion, name your state. For example, this is anxiety. This is urgency. This is regret. You can also tell yourself, this feeling is a wave. I can surf it. I don't need to act from it.
It's the whole this too shall pass, right? I think that's a very good way to put it. It's like you're feeling something that's very difficult in the moment. Just say to yourself, it's okay, it's for now, but it will pass. I know it's difficult, like let's say you hit a daily loss limit. It's disgusting, right? It feels horrible, especially the first time you do it. I remember my first daily loss limit in 2013 when I first started working for a trading company. It was awful. It felt like second death. I was like, oh my God, I feel disgusted with myself. Like I don't know what to do with myself. But then it passes and then you're like, it's just another day. It's fine. And then you reflect on your mistakes and keep going.
Exactly. Exactly. When I first blew my first funded account, I felt so miserable. So miserable. And detaching yourself, this is used in therapy as well. Again, everything we are sharing to you today can be used for mental health and in many other areas in life. And detaching yourself from thoughts and feelings builds metacognition, which is the key to trading from awareness, not emotion. Metacognition is not the key to trading. It's the key to trading from awareness and not from emotion. Okay? So now language shift. I am versus I feel. We've talked about this. We use this in therapy as well. I am anxious is, there's the missing emoticon again. I am anxious is identifying yourself to a feeling. I feel anxious is expressing awareness without attachment. I feel pain. I am in pain. I feel depressed. I am depressed. You know? This
There's
is
a big
used in
difference
therapy
there.
every day. Is making the disidentification from emotion, and it's a shift to observer role. You detach yourself from you experiencing the feeling versus observing the feeling. You don't identify yourself to what's happening, and this change your neural ownership over emotion. Please understand this concept of neural ownership. You own your thoughts, whatever you think, okay? And this is what we call neural ownership. You choose what you think. You choose what you feed your brain with. then if you want to feel anxious, but if you want to identify yourself to anxiety, you're gonna have consequences of it. So
Yeah.
understand this shift. This is very important.
Yep.
This is a post-session, which I call post-session integration loop. So ask yourself 4 questions and reflect on what happened. What part of me showed up today? Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but reflect on this. Reflection is very important. What part of me showed up today? Did I act from reaction or presence? Nobody's going to score you. There's no right or wrong answer. Don't lie to yourself. This is transparency for yourself, honesty for yourself. Third question, what pattern repeated? What pattern repeated? And fourth question, what choice do I want to wire in next time? What do you want to wire in next time? This is how patterns break, through compassionate precision, not shame. In therapy, we use this concept as well, compassionate precision, because shame in therapy, especially mental health, my domain, is a big stone, and compassionate precision helps through it. So now we have what I call a recovery pattern. So when we lose, we need a recovery pattern, right? Recovery pattern is or should be part of our edge. I found most traders, they spiral after a mistake, they lose control. Professionals reboot. In sport, it's the same. In music, it's the same.
Yeah.
In any high performance activity, it's the same. So I have a, yeah, go ahead.
So instead of making a mistake and then just completely clicking buttons, trying to get it back, losing control, again, pause and just go, all right, that was a mistake. Now I'm going to own it. And I'm going to almost pretend like that didn't happen and see what I'm working with right now. Now, sometimes the mistake results in a data loss limit or, blown up account. But before you get there, you should be aware of a possibility to come back from it, not as a recovery, but as a mental state. So not thinking in dollar terms, but let's say somebody who accidentally executes 5 NQ contracts and they think they're on the micro NQ. And then as a result, they have a massive hole and they're almost dumbfounded as to what happened. And then more mistakes happen. So effectively, this is a way to break that pattern, right?
Wonderful. Somebody said, I blew a 10K funded and proceeded to blow 3 XFAs and 5 evals after. I dived into neuroplasticity and found what Jerome is explaining right now. After I started using it, I am about to finally pass. God bless you.
There you go. Love
There
it.
you go. So this
Well
is
done.
sorry, beautiful. Congratulations. This is a 4 steps process. So first step, whatever you want to use this recovery pattern for, put it on a post-it if you want, or on a paper, or print this slide, whatever you want to do, and label it as recovery pattern for this. When this happens, you execute this. First step, you pause, you physically step away. You step away. You create psychological distance from the trigger. Remember, cue trigger, habit loop. Second step, breathe. Inhale 4 seconds, exhale 6 seconds times 3, prescription. Regulates the ANS. Third step, journal. Instantly journal to reflect with transparency and honesty. What was I feeling? What belief drove that action? This activates self-awareness and re-engages cognition. Fourth step, reframe. What do I want to wire in next time? Don't tell yourself, what trade do I want to take next time? What P&L do I want to have next time? No. What do I want to wire in next time? Change your wiring process. Be the superhuman you are.
So what would you say to yourself, for example, what do I want to wire in next time? What specifically would you do for yourself?
Let's say in the third step, what was I feeling? I felt tilt. What belief drove that action? I was in huge drawdown and I lost the trade. Okay. What do I want to wire in next time? Let me go back to the previous slides so people can understand the process which they can go through. They go back, they go to tilt, suggested tools. Okay, I want to wire the self-coaching phrase, for example, you are safe, you are learning. I want to wire the round breath. I want to wire standing up, for example, cold wire, you want to wire a change. That's what you want to
So you
wire.
want to wire an actual action that would be almost like a physical action away from anything trading related, whether it's going for a walk, whether it's breathing, whether it's telling yourself the self-coaching phrase, and right. So it
Exactly.
cannot be what do I want to do next in trading. It has to be away from
Exactly.
trading because you've already messed up in trading. So it's
Because
like you
this
have
would
to
be
move forward,
subjective.
right?
This would be subjective. I mean, if to what do I want to wire in next time you answer something proper to trading, then you didn't get anything we are speaking today. Uh,
Yeah.
Basically, you want to process the tools we suggest today. I'm not telling you I have discovered science or hot wire. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just sharing with you what helped me, and we believe will help you. And this indeed trains neural replacement and not suppression. So the real battle is internal. Okay, remember, you will always hear me say we are paid to be reactive, not to think. But your thinking comes from your knowledge and your experience. Okay, thoughts comes from knowledge and experience, but decision making comes from thoughts and emotions. So if you have great thoughts, you have great knowledge, you have great experience, you have one of two. But if your emotional management system is not well advanced and well built, you're going to go deep down. Trust me. So these are examples, okay? So market behaviors. Let's say you have tight range before news. The internal trigger could be boredom, restlessness. The untrained reaction will be to force a trade to feel engaged. I put a sentence below. It's you're not trading against the market, you're trading against your untrained impulses. Let's say you have a winner, okay? You exit the market, you have a winner, and then there is a reversal after a winner. What do you think? Oh, I got the top of the market. I'm a god. I print the market. I'm a market maker. You have a confidence spike. The untrained reaction is you oversize the next trade because the next trade you're gonna be, man, I'm gonna have a win. Let me put 3 Nasdaq, and boom, you get stopped. Let's say you miss the entry. Internal trigger, frustration, FOMO, untrained reaction, enter late or chase. You get stopped by one tick, 1 point. You feel injustice, anger. We all felt it, been there, done that. What do? Immediate revenge trade. I'm gonna click,
See, when that happens to me, I always think, was my stop at the right place? Did I put it close to VWAP? Was it at a round number? Like, I never go to anger first. I'm always like, that could have been done a little bit better. So I don't suffer from some of the things that normal people suffer from, purely because I've been in this game for like 18 years. But I've noticed over time that certain stop loss placements are worse than others. So as much as I can, I try to stick away from certain areas like round numbers and VWAP being one of them, but also obvious market shift supply and demand zones. So for example, if something is rolled over and went lower, if you come up against that same area where the market shift first occurred, that's a terrible way to place a stop, right? You should be placing your entry there, not your stop. The stop should be above the entire structure before the rollover. Or upon a retest, try not to cut through candles. Somebody is asking about the edge and how to get the best edge possible. One thing that I say to people, try not to cut through candles, right? If your trade is cutting through the wicks and the candle bodies, usually those stops tend to be a little bit weaker than the ones that are placed away from those obvious areas. So that's just my take on it. All right, let's
Yeah, and
continue.
I've not seen this same individual ask neuroplasticity is affected by smoking and drinking, if applicable. So smoking, drinking, coffee, uh, junk food, like many things affect neuroplasticity. But then this individual said, and can take 2+ years to get decent repair, if I'm
Oops.
not mistaken.
Guilty
Uh,
of both. Yeah,
yeah.
I do a lot of caffeine and a lot of vaping as
Okay.
well. So
So for the 2 years, yes and no. So a deep damage, yeah, it can take up to more than 2 years. But neurons, like they build up very fast. So in a couple of weeks, you can, like in 21 days, you can build a new system in your brain,
yeah,
technically.
whether it sticks, that's another thing. So I think that takes up to a
Exactly.
year to really seep into the proper long-term memory, from what I've read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the others, you can go for it, guys. So now, train the brain before you trade the market, right? For people who go to the gym and do deadlifts, do you go to the gym and you take the bar and you're like, I'm gonna do this deadlift and do it right away? No, you warm up, right? You warm up your muscles, your tendons, ligaments, like you stretch up or not, blah blah blah. It's exactly the same. In music, it's the same. Do you go to a concert and okay, let's go? No, you repeat and you rehearse.
Years,
You
years of
you get
practice.
your
Yeah,
toes in the water, like we say,
yeah.
right? So my practice is a 3-minute exercise. First minute, I call it the regulation. You inhale for 4 seconds, you exhale 6 seconds times 5 rounds. Prescription activates parasympathetic system, deactivates fight and flight. Second minute, identity calibration. You affirm, I am a calm, precise, process based trader. This engages in self referential neural networks to anchor desired behavior. And then the third minute, mental rehearsal. Visualize taking a loss, for example, or managing a positive trade. This was one example, but I do a mental rehearsal every day. Then, with time, you will be able to shrink the space between trigger and choice. This is very complex. Shrinking the space between trigger and choice means uh, detaching yourself from making emotions-based decisions. So you don't need to eliminate reactivity. You need to build faster access to presence. We speak about awareness. We speak about being present in the moment. Don't trade the past. Don't trade the future. Trade the present. Triggers, cues, we presented, activate the limbic system, emotional center, and this shutdowns your PFC. But deliberate pause creates a buffer for the PFC to regain control. And this concept of buffer, with time, you will be able to shrink this space. And I'm human, for example. People can think, wow, Jerome is presenting this to us. Yes, but every day I face all of this, every single day. But every single day I have my mental wiring, some strong, some less, and I have to train them. I've been through everything I'm presenting to you today, and I am still.
It's why we understand it so well, because we've been there, right? And we kind
Exactly.
of found ways to not be complete lunatics and just go, yeah, I'm gonna get you, market. It's like, no, it's, just breathe, pause, and then, like you say, that path to presence gets shorter and shorter. That's what we want.
Exactly. There's a slide you can go through. This is a 5-second pause tool. This is something we've been through. You don't fix patterns, you replace them. Remember, some
Yeah.
people think we fix things in the brain. This is completely wrong. Completely wrong. You replace them. The brain doesn't forget loops, it builds stronger ones to replace them. This is how we use this in therapy for quitting smoking, for diets, or for damaging habits for neural matter, sorry, in neurodegenerative disease, for example. People have bad habits that could be addiction, for example, most of the time, addiction behaviors, and we work through these concepts to work with them. So the cue could be a PNL drop, and you have an urge to revenge trade. What do you want to instillate? You want to have a breath ritual when you have a loss. If you feel shame, you get paralyzed. What you want to bring is awareness, and you journal this micro shift, journaling the fact that you are aware of your emotion will help you become more aware of it, and this will help you to replace the pattern. The answer, if you are tilted, for example, you want to make the future self phrase tool, and this is identity-based action. And then the reward, if you want shorter dopamine, or if you feel regret, you want to put calm and cognitive clarity. So stop trying to eliminate the problem and start training the solution. The solution is here, ladies and gentlemen. It's here, okay? What's your most practiced trading loop? And what do you want to replace it with? So, damn, I put nice emoticons, but anyway. Emotional precision is part of your edge, okay? The best traders don't just read charts or DOM, they read themselves, for me. Yeah. Another in-session tool I use every day, I ask myself, what 2 words describe my state now? And I have 3 possibilities. The first one is calm and focused. You don't see it, but I put a green sort of check mark. So if the answer to what 2 words describe my state right now, or calm and focused, the action is trade your plan. If the answer to what 2 words describe my state now are rushed and hopeful, this is what I call a yellow flag. Then pause, step back, breathe, and assess, reassess. And when you feel calm and focused, then trade your plan. But if you feel angry and urgent, then this is a red flag. And this is your step away, must do, and reset state. Price actions show you the market. Emotional precision show you whether you're fit to trade it. If you could track your emotional temperature, you would know when your setups are high quality and when you are not. Mm-hmm. Self-awareness activates ACC, improving decision correction, but emotional misalignment narrows perception, and this increases reactive decisions. Imagine knowing not just what setups win, but also what states you win from. Isn't that beautiful?
That's pretty powerful, yeah. I like that.
So, thank you. Your nervous system is your execution engine. So I have a couple checkpoints: jaw, shoulders, gut, and hands. So I have different signal: clenched, tight jaw, that means aggression, stressed. Raised, tense shoulders, that means defensive posture. Churn or tight gut, that means anticipation, fear. Twitchy, restless hands, that means impulsivity spike. Remember, you don't trade from logic, you trade from state. Identify your state, apply the proper tool. If any are activated, pause for 3 deep breaths before acting. The trade doesn't begin with a click. I mean, yes, but it begins with your body state. Regulate your body, regain your brain, and reclaim your edge. Make it lighter, not looser. You know, I find a lot of people, they think discipline has to be heavy. But discipline doesn't have to feel like punishment. It can feel like rhythm. So I put
because you don't when you brush your teeth every day, you don't feel the burden to do it. You just do it. It's like it's a part of your habit. So, and yes, it is discipline to brush your teeth every day, right? But nobody thinks about that way. Nobody, thinks of it as a chore. At least I wouldn't hope so. So why not look at all of these behaviors as just another habit? Don't put this like big idea of I have to be disciplined. It's like, no, you don't. You just have to use small steps to get better every day, and then eventually it just becomes natural.
Wonderful example. Thank you. So I wanted to share 3 situations, perhaps there are more for sure. So let's say we face a mistake. Let's say our old answer is harsh self-talk or self-sabotage. The light reset would be, that was human, what's next? I made a mistake, that was human, what's next? Tell this to yourself. In between trades, if you find yourself in agitation or not in control, or you try to have control, that means you are not calm, right? So the light reset would be to smile or stretch. Physical movements, smiling and stretching have a lot of beautiful effects on the body and the brain as well. After a loss, if you shut yourself down or you find yourself spiraling, stand, breathe, drink water, different examples we highlighted. The more you try to force control, the more your body resists it. In anything in life, the more you build light structure, the more you'll flow with it. So light tones, calm, smile, soft talk activate parasympathetic pathways. And when you trade from ease, you increase cognitive access to pattern recognition, patience, and restraint. For some people, it could sound very subjective, but this is a shift in your mind, And when you feel the shift, you will definitely feel what I'm expressing on this slide. Personally, it took me more than a year to definitely feel the lighter part of this process. But you really need to grasp, for example, the light reset part of the table. So neutral is the new alpha. That's a sentence I like. Remember this. The moment you need a win, you lose access to the state that lets you earn one. And need is a very powerful word in this sentence for me.
So is neutrality basically what is equal to the objective bias? So not having an expectation to win, just, because a lot of the times when I'm doing these streams, I do my analysis and stuff, and people are like, what are you looking at on copper? And I go, I don't know. I don't know yet. I'm waiting, I'm observing, and when something appears, I will know it. But for now, I'm not looking to long or short to make a ton of cash or, lose a bunch of money. No, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm okay with that. So is that basically what I'm doing? I'm just staying neutral, and I'm not freaking out that I'm missing out. I'm not chasing a trade. I don't need to win. And there are some days, not a lot of days, but there's some days where there's just no good trade setups. And I'm perfectly capable of sitting there for 5 hours and not seeing anything and just going, eh.
Exactly. And
But it takes
this
time.
is perfect.
Yeah.
Neutral doesn't mean disconnected. It means steady,
Yeah.
attentive, processing the information.
Yeah.
You can wait, you can let go. It's unhooked. And confidence is dopamine based. You have highs and lows. And neutrality is acetylcholine based. Stable, focus, patience, and absorption. It doesn't mean you should take pills with acetylcholine. Don't misunderstand me. Okay.
Yeah,
So,
traders just go to drugs immediately. Yeah.
yeah, don't do it.
So, what is this? Can I take it?
So we have this concept of the default self versus the designed self, right? So you are either trading from the past or from the person you are becoming, right? So we've talked about it. Most traders operate from habit, fear, and conditioning. They carry their past and they operate from their default self. But this is not bad. We are victims of being ourselves, and there is nothing bad to it. The thing is, when you know how to overcome it and be better and improve, this is what we call the designed self. Transformation happens when you trade from it, the identity you are actively envisioning, building. And you trade your self-image. This is something very well known and way more spoken nowadays. And if that image is outdated, your execution will be too, trust me. So this is a live tool. If people want help for it, we can work on it next week perhaps. But what if you could create a shortcut to calm almost on command? This is what we call the emotional anchor. And this is inspired by Pavlov, brain conditioning with the dogs. almost everybody knows it. So
Yeah.
practice in 4 steps. First step, recall a past moment of calm, focus, or excellence. Whatever it is, trading or not. Replay the scene visually and emotionally. At the emotional peak, third step. At the emotional peak, press thumb and forefinger together, or touch your heart, or exhale slowly. Select and choose and pick a body uh, signal, action, operation, anchoring. And repeat
I've never
this
done this.
daily for 14 to 21 days to embed the association. Do this every day. Come back to me in 3 weeks. Tell me it didn't work, and I give you $1,000.
You heard
Emotional
it here.
anchors. Emotional anchors allow you to reaccess calm and clarity in the heat of execution.
But
When you
but
have
before
this,
you
you'll yeah.
before you claim the 1,000, we want to see the video of you doing the emotional anchoring every single day.
Well, you won't see me because my hands are on the
No, no,
table.
not
But
you, not you, not you. The
the
person you
person.
said, "Oh,
Okay.
you will give them 1,000." So I said,
Yeah,
whoever
exactly. You want
claims
to
a
prove
1,000
yourself.
for it having
Exactly.
not worked, we want to see proofs that you've actually done this, right? So you're not gonna get away with it. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Uh, this is something I love. I mean, the concept I love. Somebody said, but you owe him 1,000 if it does work. I love that. I love that. This is
Yeah.
the second decision principle. Remember, in life, you cannot always control the first impulse, but you can always train the second one. And this is a truth. Don't sabotage yourself if you make a mistake, whatever it is in life. You can't always control the first impulse, but you can always train the second one. So in trading, if you have a trade missed, your first reaction would be panic or chase. The second decision would be pause, breathe, and assess clarity. Trigger, if it's a loss, you could have an urge to double down. Then the second decision would be reset with journal and recover protocol. If you have hesitation trigger, your first reaction would be freeze or skip. Your second decision could be reframe, progress beats perfection, or another tool we highlighted, like future self-conditioning, for example. So first decisions in the brain, whatever in work, in like, forget trading, okay? Don't forget, but you got my first decisions come from pattern. Second decisions come from practice, experience. First, first impulses often trigger amygdala and habitual circuitry. But second decisions, they recruit PFC and emotional regulation systems. They recruit brain 1 and brain 2. Which one do you want to hear? Which one do you want to quiet? That's the question. So there is now the emotional lag awareness. You are not trading the chart. You are trading the last emotion it triggered. And this is the truth. An example, you're emotional, but market has moved on. You feel regret, you feel FOMO, you feel shame lingering. So ask yourself, am I trading what I see or what I just felt? It's very hard to think about asking this to yourself. But once you ask this to yourself, boom, you detach. You don't
Yeah.
identify anymore. You don't trade the emotion triggered. Uh, if you find yourself in short breath, tension, tilt perhaps, you can use the emotional audit. You name state out loud, uh, this is urgency, this is regret. You do 3 deep breaths, hope you have a reset. If you're not present, you're trading the past, and that costs you real-time opportunity. So you don't transform in one breakthrough, right? You evolve through thousands of small choices that say, I no longer trade from fear, I trade from alignment. And you don't become the trader you dream with will, with desire. You become them with reps. And that's the same thing in life. So trading reveals your wiring. Change your wiring one repetition at a time. My advice is to pick one practice, or more, of course, but try to pick one. Use it consistently for at least 14 days. Send me the videos. No, just kidding. And watch and watch what shifts. Okay. And Barry is thanking you. Thank you very
Barry
much.
the brain. Yes. Okay.
I
This is
thought we
so
don't have time
valuable.
to go through it, but yeah, wonderful. So thank you
Yeah.
very much
No.
for having us today. We
This was
have time
amazing.
for questions as well. So
We
this is
have time
wonderful.
for
How did you
questions.
like it?
Yes.
How did you guys like it?
I loved it. I'm a total neuroscience nerd. I'm not a doctor or anything, but I have a huge interest in it because I've experienced things over the years, and I basically delved deeper into it to see how I can control some of my emotions and the states that I was going through, and it was absolutely it was transformative to me. Just to get to that first point where you pause after doing something, or after the market does something that you didn't expect, or maybe you expected it but you don't like the outcome. It's like you really wanted something to go into the sustained auction, but it gets stuck after extending the initial balance. That used to set me on a little bit of a tilt. And then diving into neuroscience, I was like, hold on, so if I just don't allow this to actually derail me completely, I can just shift my attention to what I'm going to do next rather than trade from the previous trade, which didn't work anyways, but at least the loss was controlled. That's the only thing that matters to me these days, that the loss is controlled. And I realized that the first time you start to implement this, it's so difficult to pause. Like when you find yourself off your game, that first step to just go, hold up, I'm losing control. That first self-awareness, it's the biggest thing you'll do for yourself, but it's also the toughest. Because at that point, you've got emotions all over the place. Some people have rage, they have frustration, they have FOMO, they want to go. But if you just step outside of yourself for even just like 1 second, that leads to the ability to stop yourself from doing silly things later on, and eventually causes an identity shift. It eventually causes you to develop a brand new habit. People have seen me here. I had this trade, like I think it was like 2-3 weeks ago, where I went in long, then I went in short, and I immediately recognized that that is one of my mental triggers, because I was like, hold on, something's up. So I literally just went, I'm going to stop now and reassess what is going on. I'm going to give myself time, but I'm not going to keep trying to click buttons to try and figure out what they're doing. I need more data. Clearly, me not being able to figure out what they want to do long or short in such a very short period of time, that is throwing me off. So I don't want to keep trading. I want to realign myself and then come back when A, there's more data, and B, I'm not trading from the state of mind, oh my God, I need to do this. So, calming yourself, pausing, recognizing what's going on up here, that's going to make you into a better trader. Now, I know that we had a couple of people who don't see this as value, saying, this is a trading show, what's happening? This is a trading show. This is what trading is all about, right? Never mind the levels. Anybody can teach you levels. This stuff takes a lot more practice, and it's a lot more difficult than any level that you find, especially in times of volatility. So let's take some questions. I know people have been sort of peppering in questions here and there. Turek says a good one. He says, my question is how to reset after a win. I feel afraid after winning a trade, and taking on a new trade becomes harder. It's a very good question, actually.
We've been through this last week, actually. So I don't know if the person wants to go back from it. No, because I had to structure something. The thing is, you need to reset your mindset when you won, right? What is the perception you have? Is it a status you want to keep as a pressure? Do when you wake up, do you tell yourself, okay, I won yesterday, I need to win today? If this is your mindset, then you are in the trap already. So you need to reset your process. So we have breath work, we have mental rehearsal, we have re-anchoring and reconnecting to your process. So that's basically how I would put it. The thing is, you need to journal your mindset when you win. How do I feel today? Do I feel overconfident? Sometimes when when you win, you feel this overconfidence, but be honest with yourself. What do I feel today? If you feel overconfident, then try to either size down or take the day off the next day. If you are able to completely feel neutral, which is the new alpha, then that means you are aligned, right? And you can go from your next win, from your next day. You need a golden rule as well. For example, I don't deviate from my plan after a green day, nor I do deviate after a losing day, right? But last week we've said a winning day is as hard as a losing day to deal with because it messes up with your mind, right? And
Yeah.
so you need to mentally tell yourself, okay, I stick to my plan. I don't deviate from my plan. I mean, you are the master of your mind, right? So whatever you tell yourself, you shape your identity self. So if you don't tell these to yourself, what are you going to tell to yourself? You know? So it's all about how you shape your mind. Something
Excellent.
I told myself as well is I'm not here to feel good. I'm not here to win. I'm here to stay consistent. And that allows me to focus on the consistency process.
I try not to over dramatize wins or losses. So, if the trade wins, it just means that my plan worked. Like the end. Cool story, bro. That's where it ends. If the trade doesn't work, then I usually have about 4 different hypotheses on the day. So it's very rare that none of them work because obviously I've spent many years trying to hone my plans and I've tracked which ones work, which one don't work, and I'm just naturally more analytical than most people. I'm a big nerd. I know I don't look like one, but I am. So for me, it's literally just to focus more on data and the numbers, as in like frequency of occurrence of this setup. So basically, whenever I'm looking at a setup, I know the probability of that particular setup, whether it's 60%, 40%, 70%. And if the trade works, it just means it goes into that basket of, okay, that's the high frequency occurrence of the setup. That was the day. If it doesn't work, I just literally go, okay, no, this is going into the 30% basket where this is one of the 30% days. That's kind of how I comforted myself through data. I know that not many people have that approach, but yeah, it's something that helped me. Here's another question. Governor says, any specific tips for someone with ADHD and who struggles with impulse control and mood swings?
Mindfulness.
Mindfulness.
Yeah. ADHD for me is a gift when you know how to use it.
Oh,
Unfortunately, society puts it as a not handicap, but as a
yeah.
disease, a
Because
syndrome.
it's ultra focused, isn't it? If they're interested in something,
Yeah.
they get ultra focused. But
I mean, it's
everything
same
else is
time
like,
ultra focus and same time unstructured and disorganized focus. That's the problem. But you have ADD and ADHD. But with ADHD, when you are able to control your impulses, then you are able to master this hyper focus. Like instead of, because when you have ADHD, usually you focus on many things, and you have a tendency to hyper focus on things, but you leave the work on the table, and then you hyper focus on something else. You work on it, then you leave the work on the table, then you work on something else, etc. Or you hyper focus on one thing, you want to get it done, but then you focus on something else, but you don't get it done, and so you get messed up. So these are impulses. When you understand how they work and how to monitor them, uh, that's when you are able to use this gift to your in your edge. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense, but that's
yeah.
how I perceive it.
Would you um, would you suggest like medication? Because I know that some people use nicotine patches for ADD and ADHD. I know that nicotine gets a bad rap. It's actually probably one of the better nootropics that we have on the market. And I know there's been a lot of studies about nicotine actually helping people with ADHD focusing. So would you go down the medication route, or would you just try and control that behavior naturally?
For this particular example, ADHD, unless it's an extreme case, which means you are followed by a psychiatrist, then yes, of course, I completely advise following the prescription of the doctor.
Yeah.
But if it's not the case, then I don't disadvise you taking medics, but I won't advise you. I would completely advise you to go to complementary therapies, what we call alternative and complementary therapies, not only alternative. Alternative therapy is something that is called therapy, but it's not therapy. That's why it's called alternative. Complementary therapy is something that is a therapy and that is put in addition to whatever is set up within the medical system. So that could be medics, that could be physiotherapy, that could be imaging, whatever is prescribed. Complementary therapy is something on top of that. Alternative therapy is some gurus, some shamanism, some things like that, some people that could tell you, don't take your medic, do this practice. So this is completely different. I'm a healthcare professional, so I specialized myself in complementary therapies such as meditation, mindfulness, and mental practices. So that is why I would definitely advise mindfulness and meditation. Exactly.
Okay, let's have a look. We have more questions about how to prevent overtrading, stopping after winning, or losing a trade to reevaluate. Well, we were just talking about pausing and asking yourself a set of questions in order to effectively reset your emotional state. So, if you're struggling with overtrading, I think the first step for me would be to kind of force yourself away from the screen, but maybe also to set those risk limits on Topstep. So I'm going to go back to the Topstep side just to remind people that we do have these maximum trade limits per day, right? And as the very first sort of intervention, you need to tell your brain that there is no more. So if you're overtrading, in my experience, you need to not give yourself an option to keep going. So the first step from what I would advise is to basically go to like 3 trades per day. When you know that you have only 3 attempts per day, it's going to make you think 1,000 times before you click the next button, because you know you only have 3 times 3 attempts. For me, it's never been too much of a problem, but I did have a little bit of overtrading tendency in the beginning of my prop trading, which was 13 years ago. And I did find myself doing, 20, 25 trades a day, which was too much for me. But over time, I've worked on myself, and the first step was just to literally not give yourself any any choice, and then you work on yourself. Then once your brain realizes there's no choice, you've hit your maximum trade limit per day, then the inner work starts. And then over time, it's not a quick fix. Over time, it's basically making you more aware that you now have to try and do this naturally. So in a way, this is a crutch. It is a crutch, but it's like the first stepping stone to make your brain realize that there is no more. What are your thoughts about the risk controls, Jerome? Is it just a crutch, or does it truly help people to put themselves on a different path?
Preach. I mean, drop the mic. It saved my life. I already mentioned I used the lockout button feature for 6 to 9 months. I still use it some days, but it helped me build the habit, have the reflex,
Exactly.
the discipline of, okay, I have a win, I have this, okay, boom, boom, I lock out. My only
Yeah.
thought is not thinking about putting another trade. My only thought, or my second opinion, my second thought is lock out, lock out, lock out. And once I trade enough my brain to think that, to process that, I could definitely, I put a trade today on, I won. Do I need to lock myself out? No. I know if I don't want to trade, I don't need to. But I needed to build this discipline.
Yeah.
And 1 million, 1 billion%, uh, the risk features helped me to do that.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yeah.
disciplined enough. I don't have any shame to say it. I mean, I'm human. I didn't have enough discipline, which I have today, thanks to these features. So yeah, the features definitely help.
Yeah. So they're a stepping stone to developing more discipline in the future, but it's not an immediate thing. It's not like, oh, today you use a lockout feature, tomorrow you can just stop. It's like it takes
Exactly.
time. Lissy has a question. After months of controlling myself really well, I suffer from abstinence violation effect, effort mode, and I break all of my rules. I do it with trading and with dieting, binge eating. How do I stop? Difficult one.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
I
Thank you
actually
very much.
had yeah, so I just want to share my experience. I
Oh, go
actually
ahead.
had
Go ahead.
like an 8-week cycle where I was doing that same thing back in the day. And what I did, I set myself an alarm to remind me that on week 8, I start to break my rules. So on week 8, I would put all of the risk controls, because I've always had like risk control uh, software. I have a software development company, so I have the power to have all of this throughout my entire career, and that helped me to get back on track. So I did a challenge for myself. When I came to a point of breaking the rules after a certain amount of time, I would literally do everything to stop myself. Trading with a very tight position size limit. So I would just put like one. There was no micros back then, so it was one mini. But I would also set myself the trade limit. So after 3 trades, no more. And I would also set the screen limit so that I don't sit there and stare at the screen all day. And I limited myself to 3 hours per day. So if I couldn't make it work in those 3 hours, that would be it. And if I started to lose control, the software would again prevent me from doing the same. With dieting, you can buy these like clocks that have a box with a clock on them, and you put all of your biscuits and crap inside them, and it doesn't open until a certain amount. You can also not buy stuff, like if you must have a cheat meal or something, you can buy it from a shop or go to a restaurant so that you don't have it in the house. So that there are controls that we can set in place. What is your thought, Jerome? How do we deal with this?
Thank you for sharing that. Keep in mind for the viewers that D is a way very much disciplined individual. So
Yeah,
she had already
naturally.
a lot
Yeah.
of inner skills and practices built in. But basically, yes. So how I hear it is this is compulsive behaviors. And for example, binge eating is something we'll see in eating compulsive behaviors. That could be related as well to sort of gambling behaviors. Uh, and that would lead to why you break your rules. I mean, she said, after months of controlling myself really well, I suffer from abstinence violation effect. I stop here. The question is, after months of controlling yourself, how did you feel controlling yourself first? And second, why did it stop? What happened for that to stop? This is the first step. Then, and I break all my rules. I break all my rules is a consequence of you feeling you are unable anymore to control yourself. Therefore, you do it with trading, you do it with eating, you do it with personal relationships, you do it with smoking, you do it with medications, for example, anything in life. This is the self-sabotaging process. How do I stop? My best advice would be to identify what happened in a first instance that led to your months of being able to control yourself, not being able anymore to control yourself. And then once you have that, you identify that, try to remember who you were when you were able to control yourself. I mean, you are still you. You didn't change. I mean, you think you changed, but that is your perception, but you did not. Whatever changed in your life, whatever happened, you can remember who you were. And it wasn't that much ago. So my advice would be to do mental visualizations, practices. Remember, the brain treats imagination like reality. So remember and feel how you were at these times, and the more you will practice it, the more you will be the more you will be able to become again who you were. Hope it makes sense.
Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Trader Paul in action. Hi, Jerome. I have trained my mind spiritually and I have an edge. What are your thoughts on a mind that is governed by the spirit and not science? Ooh, we're getting into
Well, thank you
theology
for the
here.
question. So I have trained my mind spiritually. What is your training? And I have an edge. What is the edge? I mean, your perception of the edge. I don't need the answer. You know, the ego. I'm not saying this person is selfish or whatnot. When we say I have an edge, what is this edge? You think you have an edge, but perhaps it's something else, or it's an edge indeed. So it's about perception and representation. So that's first point. Second point, what are your thoughts on a mind that is governed by the spirit and not science? Well, I am with you. I don't know how a mind can be governed by science. I mean, I'm presenting science because it's scientifically shaped, like there's a
Yeah.
structure to be described. But my mind is governed by Holy God and Spirit. Yes, I mean, for me. So I don't know if I understood well the question.
I think he's
But
trying
that,
to get at what do we have a soul? I think is the question.
and if you
Uh,
ask me, yeah, do I have proof? No, this is
no one
subjective. This is
does.
another talk.
Yeah.
What's the mind? What's the consciousness?
Yeah.
I have spent 10 years of my young life, and would hopefully, if God wants, spend the next 60 plus years into analyzing the place of consciousness in the human brain. So this is a question we've been asking for a long time, and we're gonna ask ourselves for a long time. So yeah, thank you
Possibly a
for the
question.
question, Trader
A
Paul.
question.
But yeah, it's
Yeah. So a question for maybe philosophers rather than traders and
yeah, exactly.
neuroscientists. Yeah. So no one knows that, and yes, we're probably controlled by something because we know that there is a physical death that happens when the consciousness that was there no longer exists. Right? Where does it go? Nobody knows. Does it go anywhere? Does it join the universe? Nobody knows. So we're all very mysterious creatures, and we can just do our best to figure things out while we're still here on Earth. Right? Moving on
Exactly.
to the next question from this very deep thought.
There's a nice question. Perhaps you have it from Turix L. Do you have it?
I am just looking at. Yes, I do. So you can read it out if you wish.
You're welcome. You're my host. You're our host, please.
Okay. Turixel says, I have a question about numbness and overriding emotions. How do our brains react to numbness? For example, I try to numb and override emotions instead of accepting them and not acting upon them.
Thank you, D, for the question, and thank you, Turix L, for the question as well. The beautiful thing is you already gave the answer within the question. When you express numbness, you practice, perhaps unconsciously, perhaps consciously, perhaps directly, perhaps indirectly, denial. When we deny things, not only we don't accept it, but we also reject them. And when you deny, you wound yourself without knowing it. So the whole Neuro Wednesday sessions, including today, less today, but all the other ones, were about acceptance, right? Awareness and acceptance. So accepting doesn't mean, I am feeling this, I am accepting it. No, this is like the wrong way to accept things. Acceptance means identifying things, declaring them, and getting in the process of not identifying yourself to them. And before that, you need to identify, to discover what you identify yourself to. Okay, you miss a trade, you feel FOMO. Okay, FOMO, it comes from frustration. Do you identify to this frustration? Are you frustrated, or do you feel frustration? Trust me, there is a huge difference in the gap. And so the moment you make the shift, okay, is the moment you start. It's not overnight, right? It's, remember, I advised you 14 days, 21 days. You will feel the shift slowly. You will feel it. It's a
You
process.
do.
It's like you go to the
Yep.
gym. You're gonna go to the gym. You're not gonna be a Schwarzenegger in a day, right? You need time, exactly.
It
Right?
always makes me laugh whenever people are like, especially women, oh, I don't want to go lift weights because I'll be massive. It's like, do you think that happens by accident? You just kind of walk into a gym and suddenly you're huge. It's like, do you know how much work that takes, especially for a woman? It always makes me laugh. And likewise, any sort of an identity shift, it's the same thing. It takes time. It's not as physical as bodybuilding, but there is a shift. Like when I started to do trading, I was a bit impulsive. I was, 27. I was like a bit pig-headed, head through the wall. That changed over the years because I worked on my impulsivity. I'm a Mediterranean person. I'm very passionate about things, and yeah, I had a bit of a side to me that was not, not very easy to deal with. I would blow up very easily. Short fuse for certain things in life, but patience in trading taught me that there's a different side to things, and that rather than like, let's say you're in a traffic jam and somebody's like being an idiot and they're like, meow, 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 they're like constantly trying to go around you and they're being really annoying. What do? Do you like kick off into like a complete road rage, start flipping them off and like swearing at them? Like a lot of people will do that. That's reactivity. And I kind of feel that traders who chase and go on a complete, rampage of their P&L after a bad trade or after a mistake, that's what they're doing. They're exhibiting road rage. And I used to have a little bit of that, right? Now, when I started trading, I suddenly noticed that in the situation of road rage, somebody's like being annoying, super angry or something, I stopped reacting. There was not only a shift in my trading, but it spilled over into the rest of my life. So now I'm so like, you just can't really make me angry. Like it's very, very difficult to throw me off. The only thing that throws me off is maybe like life or death situations, like somebody's dying or something. It's like, yeah, it was very sad. Everything apart from that, I'm like, it's okay, we'll sort it out. There's no problem. Like I can't even recognize who I am anymore after all this time. So,
Very interesting.
controlling
Yeah,
yourself, it's very interesting. Yeah, you
very
do go
interesting
through an
because
entire identity
in
shift.
in psychoanalysis, behind every anger, we have two things: a fear or multiple, and a need. And for traffic road rage, let's say, I am very cool with that. I don't have road rage as traffic, but for instance, my cousin, she could kill people on the road, and I've always been fascinated by how people could surrender themselves to something that insignificant. So I've been thinking lately about these people who let themselves over what's happening in the road. Like somebody cut, like there's a line, everybody's waiting, there's traffic. Somebody comes from the left and crosses me and comes in front of me. Do I want to get angry? Yes, sure. Do I get angry? No. Why? Am I afraid that uh, I'm going to be late? Or do I have a need? Most of the time, you know what it is? It's the need for people to be respected. Because when you're in a line and you wait, you respect others, right? Because if you don't, you're going to pass them. But the people in front of you and behind you, they all respect each other. Everybody's respecting each other. So when somebody doesn't respect others, we're like, you're not respecting us. That's a need,
Yes.
And the
Yes.
fear is, this is going to pass us, and we react to this. The source of the anger comes from it. So what helped me a lot in my personal life and what we use in therapy is try to help people identify these two components, the fear component and the need component, so people can first understand why things are happening. And then we get into the process of disidentifying yourself to what's happening. Okay, you are afraid of this feeling, of this thought. You have this need or these needs. Then do you really need that? Are you really afraid of that? What do you feel? What do you feel when you think about it? And you go through this process, and then you lift the anger. For example,
Yeah.
for me, I had a huge intense frustration level when I used to trade, when I lost. And some days I could go over it very well, and some days I couldn't. And I've been through this concept of self-compassion and identifying your fear and your need, and I'm completely free today. I mean, I've never traded that well in my life since I've reshaped my mind over and over and over again. Like, I'm working hours every day to reshape my mind, not only for trading but for life as well. I run 2 other companies, so I need to have my mind sharp for that.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but again, your mind is a temple. Be careful what you feed it with, and how you use it, and who you put in, how you decorate it. Respect your mind. If you respect your body or don't, at least respect your mind.
Yeah. We have something that someone was saying. It's not a question. It's basically the identity shift that they've been through. It's trading nickels. They're here usually every day. I see him in the chat all the time. And he said, I was a scalper for a few years. Honestly, I still scalp, but I do a lot more longer trades. After many coaches helped me and much self-work, I've held the trade from pre-market to nearly close. There was simply no reason to get out. The trade wasn't invalidated. Old me could have never done that. So
Thank you.
it's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Amazing. He just
Brad.
said to all the viewers, like,
Yeah.
change your mind and you will change your practice.
Yeah. And then Brad is actually my VIP. He said, I keep a Rubik's Cube at my desk for my ADHD breaks. Uses your logical brain and physical stimulation with a rewarding results when it's done. Rewarding result when it's done. So that's an idea, keeping your mind engaged with something that is rational. That could work. I don't suffer from ADD or ADHD, so I can't comment on that, but I have seen, like, I have a few friends who have the condition, and they have their own ways of dealing with it. So obviously Brad is somebody who does have ADHD,
The thing
and
is,
that's how he...
if you allow me to expand on that, and Brad as
Sure,
well.
yeah.
Same time, this is a beautiful tool. Same time, it's a poison for you, and you don't know it yet, perhaps. So when you have ADHD, basically your attention goes left, straight, and right a lot of time, right? So if you have a distraction and you cultivate the habit of distracting yourself, so it can use your logical brain, like you're doing something good, like you're enabling the rational parts, so it shut down the emotional one, but you are distracting yourself. So let's say it's not distracting you enough from the trading and you keep focus, okay, yet you keep cultivating your ADHD. And you mentioned an ADHD break. For me, this is not a break if you change your attention. Does it make sense? I mean, you change your attention to another action. So this is basically ADHD. Like, you can't be attentive to one thing. You need to have the Rubik's Cube. Unless the real need is when you feel emotional, you play with it. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So from what I gather, if you're using it to refocus your emotions, that's one thing. But if you're using it to deal with the lack of focus because you need to focus on more things, that's bad. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, exactly. Or, I mean, if this person has ADHD and feels, okay, my attention is being lost, I need to recenter it, and then the Rubik's Cube allows this individual to recenter it, then 100% perfect. But if the Rubik's Cube has an intention of, okay, when I feel emotional, I'm going to play with it because it's going to activate and enable my logical state, then yes, but you are distracting yourself.
So
It's
if you
all
would
about
have
the
someone with...
intention. What's
Yeah,
the
it's all about the
intention of
attention.
having the
Yeah.
Rubik's Cube? If the intention is, okay, I have ADHD, so therefore I can't focus on chart like fully. So when my attention spans, then I go to the Rubik's Cube instead of taking my phones and checking notifications. So this is wonderful. But if the intention is different, then it could be damaging.
Okay, so let me just go through some of
Don't know
these
if it
comments.
makes sense to Brad. Hope it does, but
Yeah,
wonderful self tool. Everybody
yeah.
has their own. I have a friend who has a piano next to her, and so she just plays some notes, and she's like, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna refocus now," and this is her way to do it.
That wouldn't work for me as a former musician because then all of my attention shifts to music and I forget everything. This is why I don't listen to music. Some people are like, "Oh, Dee, why don't you play some music on the streams?" People have asked me this for years. Because as soon as my musician brain hears music, nothing else exists. I start to analyze what the song is doing. Like even when I'm listening to TopstepTV, they have their music and stuff. I'm like, ooh, that's a good bass. And what's the drum doing? And how do they create that bass? Is it like a sine wave? And what is that synth that they're using? Like my whole brain goes into a shift towards something else. And that's because I used to be a musician, right? That's what I used to do. So I can't trade and listen to music at the same time. It's just like death to me. Now
Yeah,
I
for
don't
sure.
I don't I don't know whether I have like I know what ADD and ADHD are. Like I do have obsessive behaviors, but I don't think they're like a condition. I just think that when I'm interested in something, I have the ability to completely focus for a very, very long time without any distractions. But I have to do one thing at a time, if that makes sense. Is that a condition? Because I was never diagnosed. They've tested me for a whole bunch of stuff. They never found anything. They found high intelligence. So I've always had, higher IQ. But they never found, if anything, they found that I'm maybe borderline psychopathy level. So it's like I'm not a psychopath, but there are
I'm gonna
certain
hang out
emotional,
by chat.
yeah,
Just, no, I mean we can talk about this later. This is a different topic, but
yeah,
yeah, for me, attention disorder is a gift as well. I mean, when you know how to use it. The thing is, when society puts you in a box, saying
yeah,
you have a disease or uh, you have
yeah,
a
like
handicap
dyslexic
or
or
disability,
something. Yeah.
exactly,
Because
you
my husband is
instantly,
dyslexic, but he's an extremely accomplished software developer. It's like, it has nothing to do with his
because his
ability.
perception and his
Yeah.
self-image must be high.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
if this affects you, saying, okay, I have ADHD, I'm different from other kids, I might not succeed, and blah blah blah.
Negative
It's
self-talk.
about
Yeah.
self, exactly. So this is a different topic, and also you can have a wrong diagnosis as well. I have friends who've been diagnosed and they were not. I have others who should have been diagnosed and they were not. So I
Difficult.
don't think you
Yeah.
should ask yourself, do I have ADD, do I have ADHD? I mean, if you breathe well and you live well, you're okay. If you
Yeah.
don't sleep well at night and you think about killing people, yeah, you should go to a psychiatrist.
Yeah. If you start thinking about killing people and actually planning it out, I think that would be an even bigger red flag. It's like, how would I do this? All right. Thank you so much, Jerome. We are at time. Obviously, we
Thank
could
you.
sit here and talk all day long. And actually, I do believe that we'll be on together on Fast Markets. I'm going to be
I
joining you
won't.
around. Oh, you won't? Okay. So I'm
Not
going to be
today.
on there around 10 a.m. Central, which is, I think, 3 p.m. my time. So you guys are going to be seeing me. And I'm also going to be doing Top Quiz.
Wow, wonderful.
Top quiz, yeah. I'm probably going to be
Busy
notoriously
day for you.
bad.
Yeah, busy day
Yes,
for you.
busy day, but I'm just going to blame it on difficult questions if I suck at it. So just know it's not going to be my fault. It's going to be somebody else's fault. But yeah, we'll see
Wonderful.
what it brings. Interesting day. We've had some headline risks, so stay safe out there. Don't size up like a lunatic. Just be very careful of all these news getting peppered across the entire day. It does seem like China is maybe opening up, for some talks and negotiations and stuff, but remains to be seen how that plays out. Anyways, thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us. This was very, very eye-opening. We're gonna keep doing these Neuro Wednesdays, and we're gonna try and make a little course out of it. So in the meantime, Jerome, again, thanks so much for doing this. We really, really appreciate it. I'm Marcus Stalker D, aka Deeyana Angelo. This has been the Eurotrade and Neuro Wednesday on TopstepTV. Well, we will see you very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of the broadcast. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye. Thank you, everybody.